That said, I do feel compelled to address the most recent one about my husband, Mark. My husband made a failed attempt at humor last week when checking in with the small business that helps with our boat and dock up north. Knowing it wouldn't make a difference, he jokingly asked if being married to me might move him up in the queue. Obviously, with the motorized boating prohibition in our early days of COVID-19, he thought it might get a laugh. It didn't. And to be honest, I wasn't laughing either when it was relayed to me, because I knew how it would be perceived. He regrets it. I wish it wouldn't have happened. And that's really all we have to say about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Oh, Governor Whitmer, she's like, oh, yeah. Oh, no. He's not. Oh, go. Oh, gosh. He's just trying to be a funny man. Oh, God. No. Sorry, Lib. Not giving you the benefit of the doubt on this one. This is, Lockdown Whitmer up in Michigan, who's saying, and here's the story behind this. A marina owner wrote on Facebook that the governor's husband, wow, Facebook really crushes people sometimes, doesn't it? Mark Mallory had asked its workers to get their nearby boat in the water before Memorial Day. This is according to the Detroit News. The vacation property that the governor and her husband own is about 25 minutes from Traverse City. The couple's main residence is in Lansing. And here, he basically said, would this move us up in the queue? Can this make us, because I'm the governor's husband, is this going to push things a bit faster for us? I'm sorry. I don't think that's okay. Because she was saying you can't have your boat in the water before Memorial Day. And he's just saying, come on, put our boat in the water before Memorial Day. Does it help if my wife is the governor? Do you think that was a joke? Look, I'm going to say it could be a joke. But I don't think that Whitmer really gets the credit for this. By the way, sorry, I'm just going to say it. I'm trying to pick out, if it sounded like I was a little bit out of it for a second there, producer Mark is probably worried I'm going to pass out from doing too much radio. But it's because the New York Post has worded the story very poorly. It's not a well-written story at all. I'm just trying to get the details here about this. Oh, wait, but Whitmer's spokeswoman, Tiffany Brown, wouldn't confirm or deny these assertions by the marina company and said they would not address every rumor that is spread online. Oh, so at first they tried to... No, they lied. Okay, I went to the Detroit News. New York Post, come on, step up your game on this story. Not good. I went to the Detroit News here, and sure enough, yeah. This morning I was out working when the office called me. There was a gentleman on hold who wanted his boat in the water before the weekend. Being Memorial Weekend, the fact that we started working 3 weeks late means there's no chance this is going to happen. Well, our office personnel had explained this to the man, and he replied, I am the husband to the governor. Will this make a difference? Oh, he definitely did the, do you know who I am? And one thing I can tell you, my friends, I gotta tell you, it's not a good thing to play the do you know who I am game unless the answer is going to be, sir, yes, sir, I know who you are. I'm so sorry, sir. It's not a good idea. And that was what they went with here. So, yep, it's true. And now they're saying it was a joke. And that was that. So, look, is it a big deal? Well, it's not that it's a big deal. It's that this is yet another instance of libs telling you that you have to do one thing, you have to live life a certain way, and they want to use influence and access to live life a different way. Because remember, the governor's the one who said no boats in the water. Not allowed. But her husband's like, come on, Memorial Day, I'm the husband of the governor. Come on, put my boat in the water. Exactly. This is like Bro Cuomo warning us all, hey, wear a mask when you're out. Yeah. That's what you need to do. And make sure you quarantine, except if you want to see your second home, not your second of two homes, your second, meaning your third home that you are building in the Hamptons. It pays well to do Zucker's bidding in the destruction of America, truth, and justice. It pays well. So that's a good thing. That's helpful for him, not for the rest of us. But then there's also this Twitter post I wanted to tell you about from Donald Trump, where he gets a little addition because Twitter labeled a tweet he put out with a fact check saying that it is misleading. This is now what we're seeing. Now, look, before we all completely trash Twitter, I don't want to say this. Twitter was very helpful in Trump becoming president. Now, the libs didn't realize that because they forced us all onto social media platforms, because they deny us access to traditional media platforms, with the only real exception being, Fox News, which isn't even that traditional in the sense that it's a newcomer. It only started in 1996. These other media platforms, ABC and CBS, and they've been around for, I don't know, going on 70 years now or something like that. I mean, they've been around for very longer than that if you look at their radio broadcasting days, but I mean even as TV stations. So those are the true legacy media institutions. They've been around for a very long time. We're pushed out of legacy media, and so conservatives are better at memes. Conservatives are better at online stuff. And so libs need to make sure they're always tilting the playing field toward them because, we only have certain places where we can go. Well, why has talk radio been the province of conservatism for as long as it has? And, thank you, Rush Limbaugh, for being at the very forefront of that and opening up this field for the rest of us. Why is that the case? Well, because individual markets across the country went to talk radio because there was nowhere else for them to go to get this. So talk radio and then the internet broke the left's monopoly on political media. But now the social media platforms are being called upon to do things like this, where they're saying that they're going to mislabel, or rather they're going to label things that are untrue. And they did this to Trump on mail-in ballots. Trump tweeted out a claim about mail-in ballots, which was marked as misleading by Twitter. That's right. Now a social media platform is really just taking sides in a political fight, openly taking sides in a political fight. And this is a problem. This is a problem because it shows us exactly what we've been saying all along. And now there's also someone who's Twitter's head of site integrity or something is a left-wing resistance loon who, here you go. This guy, this was on the Daily Mail today. Who checks Twitter's POTUS fact checker? Biased head of Twitter's site integrity has previously called the president a, quote, racist tangerine, the administration Nazis, and compared Kellyanne Conway to Joseph Goebbels. Yoel Roth, official title of Twitter's head of site integrity, has put out all those horrible tweets. Libs dominate all these places. Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube. What is it going to take? Conservative billionaires, I'm here. Put me in charge. Write me a check. I'll build you a new platform, okay? And I'll do it, and I'll actually do this for conservatism. I'll actually want the biggest names, the best people on it. I'm not going to do what some people do. Give me a bunch of money so I can be prominent and famous, but I'm going to suppress everybody else. It's too common in conservatives. Unfortunately, the generation above sometimes wants to hold down the generation below here in conservative media. Some of them get a little greedy and a little too self-involved. But we really need to build our own platform, or at least a platform of true political neutrality. We can do it. Stop writing checks to the ballet and to some boring think tank. Buck will run the conservative answer to Netflix. Just billionaires out there. Give me the say so. I'll do it for you because that's how we win. Otherwise, we're going to be up against this. Team, I've got to introduce you to an old friend of mine who has also joined me at Pluto TV's The First, channel 248 on the Pluto TV app, if you have not seen it. She's now a contributor there, and she is also a Young Americans for Liberty analyst, the one and only and author and columnist, Kristen Tate, everybody. Kristen, good to have you.
Great to be on the program, Buck. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with how are things down? You're in Texas. You guys have reopened. What's it like? Bring me tales of red state freedom.
Well, interestingly, for the last 2 months, I was in Boston, where my mom lives. They're still completely on lockdown. You can't even go to most stores. I finally took a plane down here to Texas, and it's like being in a different world. Everything's open here. People are outside enjoying the weather. Businesses still recommend wearing masks, and a lot of people do that just to be courteous to other people and business owners. But I would say it's a much less hostile environment up here. Things are kind of getting going again, and our local businesses are finally allowed to start doing what they do best and providing services to our community and, most importantly, employing people.
Now, you've also written a piece here at The Hill, where I used to work, and you are talking about what you think is going to happen in New York City. So having been in Boston and now be in Texas and writing about New York, what do you see in the future of the place where I'm currently sitting?
Well, look, my most recent book is called The Liberal Invasion of Red State America. So the blue state, blue city exodus is something that I have been following long before COVID. New York City was already losing residents in droves because of their tax environment and the high cost of living. So this COVID pandemic will only accelerate that trend. There are a lot of people who, left the city when the pandemic hit. They're sitting in New Jersey now or down in Florida or in Pennsylvania, and they're saying, why would I go back to New York? I can work remotely. My cost of living is lower. And frankly, New York City is completely shut down. A lot of the restaurants will go permanently out of business. A lot of the stores will go permanently out of business. If you can't enjoy the culture in New York, what's the point of paying the high price to live there? So this has been an exodus that's been going on for quite some time, but the COVID pandemic is going to accelerate those trends. And, New York City will be a shell of its former self in a few years. And it's really sad because I still think New York City is arguably the best city in the world, but that's changing. What's going on there is a tragedy. And frankly, Buck, I don't know why anyone who is a tax-paying person would live there at this point. No offense.
Now, don't worry. Producer Mark and I talk about, is it going to be Florida? Is it going to be Texas? What's the next stop? Although we are on a wonderful station in Austin, Texas, KLBJ, and we have a great audience there, and I love hearing from them, and I've been promising them a visit for a long time. Austin sounds like a fantastic place to live, but to your point about the blue state exodus, I'm hearing from Texans the problem with Austin these days is there too many Californians that want to tell the Texans how to live their lives, people that have left California and they tend to go to Austin.
That's exactly right. So what's happening in Texas? So Texas is absorbing this record number of blue state expats, mostly from California, also quite a few from New York. All of those people, or the vast majority of them anyway, move to Texas's cities. So what's happening in Texas is really interesting. The cities are becoming far more blue. So you look at Houston, El Paso, San Antonio, Dallas, but especially Austin. They're becoming very, very left-leaning, more than they ever have been. But if you look at the more rural areas and even the suburban areas in Texas, in many cases, those places are becoming more red. So we're having this increasingly polarized environment within Texas. It's really a fascinating political animal. But unfortunately, just when you look at the state as a whole, it is absorbing more Democratic voters as a whole than Republican voters. So that's why you're seeing the state kind of gradually and slowly move to the left.
Kristen Tate, everybody. She is a new analyst on The First on Pluto TV and also with Young Americans for Liberty. Kristen, how do you think we're going to do with the tax situation? I mean, you're a tax expert. You wrote a whole book on it, right? How do I tax thee? How do you think we're going to handle this when you have all these different states now, particularly some of the mega blue states, New York and California, are going to be saying, we want lots and lots of federal dollars. What does this do to the environment, especially assuming that the administration doesn't give them every penny that they want? It feels like there's going to have to be a raise in taxation in a lot of places, and that's going to perhaps even exacerbate what you're talking about, the outflow from blue states to red.
Yeah, it'll just further penalize those who have chosen to stay. But you're right, a lot of these blue states are requesting massive federal bailouts for problems that existed way before COVID. I mean, you look at Illinois, for example, they have a huge pension problem. They want, I think it's $80 billion from federal taxpayers. I mean, this is just a massive wealth transfer from fiscally responsible states to fiscally irresponsible states. And frankly, giving a bailout like that, it just incentivizes more wasteful, irresponsible spending. But there are a lot of small business owners as well who are starting to ask, why the heck am I in this blue state environment where they're taxing them to death and during COVID not letting them operate their business? I'll give you an example. My stepmom owns 3 restaurants in the Boston area. She sells burritos at her restaurants. Low cost burritos, they're $7 each. They've told her she can only do deliveries and takeouts. Well, it doesn't make sense to deliver $7 burritos. You're not going to make a profit on that. So she is just, hobbling by on takeout. Her business is down 80% from what it usually is. She just opened a new location before COVID. Now she has no idea how she's going to keep the lights on in her places. And she's one of many small business owners in this situation. Whereas, in a red state like Texas, most of our businesses are back up and running. So unfortunately, a lot of the great cities of this country are going to probably see permanently closed stores and restaurants that have really made their communities so vibrant over the years. It's really sad. And then, of course, all of these places employ people who will lose their livelihoods as a result.
And I know you're in the Houston area. How much, just anecdotally, or from what you're seeing, what percentage of outdoor mask wearing would you say? I mean, in New York, I'd say it's over 90% of people outside are wearing masks. What is it in Houston?
It's kind of funny, Buck. You can always tell who the liberals are here because they're the ones who are in the 95-degree heat in the sun by themselves in the park wearing a mask. I mean, most reasonable people do not wear masks when they're outside alone, not in a crowd. It doesn't protect you, when you're outdoors especially. So most people are not wearing the masks when they're outside in the Texas heat and they're not in a crowd. But there are always those people who do. I will say, though, in businesses, when you're inside, Texans have been really good about wearing the masks, just to be courteous. But I would say outdoors, most people aren't wearing the masks.
You guys still have room down there? Producer Mark and I are thinking about real estate, so he's pushing for Florida still. Understand? I love Florida too. We got some great stations there.
Texas is way better. You guys have to come to Texas. Better food, cooler people. Everything's better about Texas.
Producer Mark, do you have a question for me to ask Kristen about what life is like in Texas versus the Northeast?
No, I don't. I like Florida.
He goes, no, I don't. I like Florida. Okay. All right. Kristen Tate, everybody, Young Americans for Liberty analyst, and, of course, now a contributor at The First. Kristen, thanks so much. Good to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Buck.
It's time for roll call.
Time for roll call. Indeed it is. The roll call time. Facebook.com/Buck Sexton. Also, don't forget to check in on BuckSexton.com. Please add that to your bookmarks. And I'm in talks right now. I think if it's not this week, it'll be next week. But I got a plan for probably Friday, something to go up. But I'm going to start to write for the website exclusive column content for the website. So there you have it. That's going to be exciting. Go to BuckSexton.com for more of that. It's also a place where you can listen to the podcast. Producer Mark pointed out to me, we had, I think, one of our strongest ever podcast download days just last week. So thank you so much for that. And it really, really is meaningful. And it's a huge benefit for us to have you spread the word. I mean, it really means a lot. And thank you for that. So, okay, Facebook.com/Buck Sexton. Or you can email us, teambuck@iheartmedia.com. If you send it on to Instagram, just make sure you put your first name. You can even choose a pseudo, but I don't want it to be, Boat Rider 972 says the following. So you got to put because some of you have So many people have Instagram handles without their name or even their first name. I'm like, what's that all about? But anyway, I guess I don't understand things. Don't even get me on the TikTok right now. They do these little dance. You're not on TikTok, are you, producer Mark?
I dabble in watching some TikToks.
It's the fastest way to blow 30 minutes, 40
yeah.
minutes of your time and not even remember anything is to just open up TikTok and start scrolling. You'll blow. You're going to sit there. It's like it's a Chinese-owned company, have developed a system for us to just turn our brains into mush. I think this is what this is.
Oh, yeah. I easily can spend an hour or two and just look at the clock and be like, oh, my God, look what time it is.
Yeah. So there you go. And they have these little dances called shuffles where you learn step by step the steps. I might actually learn a step. Maybe I'll make my own TikTok one day.
Go viral, please.
Exactly. All right, Andrew's first up here. It may seem harsh to send Aunt Becky to prison, but she's brilliant to get in and serve ASAP. Think about it. Our prisons are releasing the real criminals in the streets across the country. Right now, prisons are emptying out, plus there's nothing else to do right now with COVID-19. Be locked down in your house or in prison while prisoners aren't even there. What would a smart person choose right now? I mean, Andrew, I kind of see what you're saying. I would say that if you could have been in prison for the last 2 months, that would, because she got a 2-month sentence, that would certainly be the best time that I could think of to have ever been in prison, because you're not missing anything. No one's really able to do anything. You're not missing any great dinner parties or birthday parties or whatever Aunt Becky seems to do, a.k.a. Lori Loughlin. It's crazy that they're sending her to prison for this. Look, pay a big fine, humiliation, all this. You're going to go to prison? You're going to take away your freedom, separate you from your kids. And the husband, Mark, I don't know, some Italian last name, I can't remember. He's going for like 5 or 6 months. That's a pretty hefty sentence. Esther, hey Buck, producer Mark. I don't consider myself an envious person, but I am today. A one-on-one with President Trump? Really? I'm calling it. He's going to offer you a job in his administration when he wins in 2020. I've been telling my sister that for months. There is a frame of mind that common sense people share. I'll be on the edge of my seat waiting every show to hear more. It really makes me feel like there was a human connection between you and him, and now all your listeners get to feel that too. Pretty cool. You should be very proud. I'm proud to know you all the way from St. George, Utah. Well, Esther, thank you so much for your support, your kind words, and in your encouragement for me and producer Mark. Or producer Mark and me, speak the King's English over here. Producer Mark and me, we try so hard to put on the best show we can every day, and the fact that it's caught the president's attention that he wanted me to come down was certainly a really nice. I don't know how it was a cool thing. It was worth the trip for sure. And I posted the photo yesterday. For those of you who haven't seen it, the photo's up on social media. So you got to follow me on Instagram, Buck Sexton. Those of you listening to this. That's a lot of you I feel like are much more active on Facebook in this audience than Instagram. We got to get Instagram, and Facebook owns Instagram. Got to get on Instagram too. Got to use the gram. It's a good place. And yeah, that's where we have it. So good things. And next up here, we have, it's okay, Snow Princess, you can come in. She's coming in during the show. That's all right. Just don't make too much noise. We got, the real issue is that little Talubaloo, also known as Tallulah. I call her Talubaloo just because I can't think of enough cutesy names for her. She starts to make, she gets all excited, and then her little paws will run all over the floor and do all kinds of stuff like that when she has somebody in here. So that's all right. We'll keep her quiet. She's napping, which is what she does 90% of the day. Let's see here. Next, we have in the roll call section of the show, Ryan. Buck, congratulations on being called the White House. It's well deserved. It's comforting to know that President Trump is aware of our point of view. Indeed. Look, the president's got my personal cell number now, so if he ever wants some Buck advice, he can, off the record, get it anytime he wants. I told him that, so, he knows. And am I of better wisdom and judgment than most of my fellow media conservatives? Yeah. I'm just going to say, yeah, I think that's true. Ryan. Oh, he already said those nice things. 2 things. If bucksexton.com isn't your homepage, I don't know what you're doing with your life. No. You mean, I was like, it is my home. Of course. It's my homepage. Yes, I agree with you, Ryan. And then number 2, Commie Bear videos should be animated and on YouTube. I'm sure Team Buck has an animator in its ranks. Shields high. Ryan, I kind of love that idea, and it would be great content for our YouTube channel. And I'm not going to tell you that we're not going to do that. I do owe you guys a Malta podcast. I have been so overwhelmed the last few weeks with the 5 hours a day of radio. And I've got some good things that are happening here with, we've updated our website. We're doing more there. I'm going to start writing a column. You know, I write a weekly column for Stansberry Research, which if you go to American Consequences, their web magazine, I write a weekly column for them. So I'm a busy bee. I'm a busy bee. Get your busy bee. I still think Best in Show is one of the best comedies of all time. All right, more roll call for your listening enjoyment. Rachel writes in, hey, Buck, first Mark is right about Marvel movies and hockey, although I prefer college hockey over NHL. Producer Mark, do you want to weigh in on that?
College hockey is great, but it does not beat the NHL.
Very interesting. You're such a hockey purist and one who appreciates the sport so much, because even in my avid NBA watching days when I was a teenager, when I did watch a lot of the New York Knicks playing basketball, which was what you'd watch the Knicks. Okay, that's clear. But even in those days, I always thought that college basketball, because I went to a tiny D3 college where nobody was very good at any sport, I didn't understand the appeal of college basketball at all. It felt like watching, it's like if you're in high school and you're going to go out, do you want to watch the varsity or the JV? It always felt like college basketball to me was JV, but I know that is heresy in like 80% of the country. Heresy. So,
yeah, I mean, college basketball, the fact that the NCAA tournament didn't happen this year is just heartbreaking for so many people.
Yeah, people love college basketball.
I do too. I don't watch it all year round, but once the tournament comes, it's amazing.
Yeah, man, you know what, Producer Mark, on your rec when it comes back next year, because I think we all have a different sense of appreciation for these things than perhaps we used to. When it comes back, I will watch my first March Madness next year. Just, because we got to return to normalcy, and I've never watched March Madness, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. So there we go.
We'll even get you to fill out a bracket.
I will do a bracket. I'll do a bracket. I've never done a bracket before. That'd be kind of an interesting experience. Here in North Dakota, Rachel writes, we've been extremely lucky with low numbers of COVID cases, with most deaths coming from the older age groups. In mid-February, a Fargo, North Dakota landlord attempted to barricade in residents of an apartment after they self-reported contact with a positive case. Within 20 minutes, the landlord was putting a zippered tarp over their door and threatening unknown fines for breaking quarantine. Ultimately, no resident of the apartment tested positive, but the landlord has no authority to lock someone in an apartment and is probably in violation of HIPAA by releasing their location and health status. I wouldn't have expected this here, but many have accepted socialism with barely a blink. Longtime podcast listener, keep your shield high and continue the awesome work at NYC. Thank you, Rachel. I have not heard anything about that case in Fargo, North Dakota, so that's crazy. I'm just got to take what you write here as what the story is. I don't know anything about it. I do know that Fargo, oh yeah, oh don't you know, oh gosh. It's a pretty intense movie. I mean, they actually feed a guy into a wood chipper at the end. Oh gosh, it's messy. So I remember that. You ever see Fargo?
I have not. I've heard great things, though. I'm going to have to watch it.
People really like it. I barely remember it. I remember the wood chipper. Other than that, I'm kind of bland on the whole thing. Not that was a good part of it. That's the part that stuck in my mind because it was horrific. JP, just saw the picture of you and President Trump on Facebook. Excellent hair, Buck. Very mantastic. Listen to your show on Apple Podcast in South Louisiana. Shields high. Love listening. JP, thank you so much, man. Yeah, that's right. You guys, remember, you can listen to the podcast anytime. You can listen anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you're a Spotify user, the iHeartRadio app, which, as producer Mark reminds me, it's important because that is the company we work for, iHeartRadio. So that's good. And is there anywhere else that a lot of people listen to the podcast? BuckSexton.com. We have the podcast up there. Anywhere else?
Anywhere you get podcasts. The Google Play Store for those Android users. I believe that's what they use.
does anyone have any? I haven't even met a person who has an Android.
People are loyal to them. The people who have them are very loyal to them.
I mean, this is like someone who's a de Blasio voter. Like, I've never met this person who has an Android. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I just don't even know.
I know people, like I have friends that have them, and we don't put them in group chats because we refuse to do the green texts. Yeah.
Wait, so that means with an Android, someone knows if you've seen their text?
No. So when you're texting an iPhone, it comes up as blue.
Right.
That's an iMessage. But when you're texting a non-iPhone, it comes up as green, and it goes through your cell service, which is a big pain in the butt.
I was unaware of that. Interesting. Dan, in the subject line, producer Mark is the sexiest man alive. Dan's a smart fellow. I live here in D.C., Foggy Bottom, but came up to New Jersey in late March to be with my parents under quarantine and have been here since. A lot of people I know on the left are from both areas are very fed up with this lockdown. Much more so here in New Jersey. Seems a bit more genteel in the district, but still frustrated nonetheless. And from the chatter I hear, it seems there may be a red wave brewing in November. Thoughts? Dan, I would love for there to be a red wave brewing in November, but way too early to know. And this is going to be an ugly election. I mean, the fact. You really should take the fact that they even put forward Joe Biden as a possible candidate as just further evidence of how ugly it's going to be, because this guy is an utter nincompoop. And yet they think that he's going to win the presidency of the United States. Joe Biden? Joe Biden's like a third-tier member of Congress. I mean, I know he's been in the Senate forever, but this is not a guy who's impressive at anything. And that's the best. Well, no, they're going to just make you. They're going to stuff it down your throats that you have to vote for Joe Biden. They're going to make you do it if they can. It's just so that's why I can't. A red wave, who knows? The media is also, unfortunately, still very, very powerful. I wish I could tell you that they no longer have the ability to sway people, but they certainly do. And they're going to put the economic problems and they're going to put all the challenges right now in this country from COVID-19 squarely on Trump's shoulders. It's going to be all about Trump. I mean, they're going to make it sound like Trump had a little beaker and a Bunsen burner and a white lab coat on with his big swoop of blonde hair, creating the virus down at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, that's more or less going to be the perception they try to drive home for you. Trump's like, it's the very dangerous, most dangerous virus. I can't do it. Look, I can pull off pretty good mimicry for people that I don't have Trump yet. Maybe I can't do it because I love the man too much. You know, maybe I'm just too MAGA to do a good Trump impersonation. When I even try it, it just falls apart. Everyone else I can do pretty well. Can't do Trump yet. Can't do it. Maybe after he's president. Amy from Colorado. Here we go. From Team Buck, Colorado. I mean this sincerely. I feel about you the way I feel about Rush, a member of my family. I can't think of a higher compliment for a radio host. Keep up the excellent work and shields high. Also, I think of producer Mark as Bo Snerdley. Well, Amy, that's the highest compliment you can give us in this business. You know, I know Snerdley personally. I've known him pretty well over the years. You know, we correspond occasionally. I just check in on him, see how he's doing. He's a great guy. And I've never met Rush. I've filled in for him many times on radio, as you know. But Rush is the greatest radio host of my lifetime. So, and that's what bigger testament can you give to his skills and his ability and the influence he's had than that? But for you to even think of producer Mark and I as, you know, on that same playing field, never mind. I mean, you know, if Rush and Snerdley are the superstars, they're on the dream team. You know, if we're just coming off the bench to help them out, that's a very, very high compliment, and we appreciate that. Mark, have you ever met Mr. Snerdley?
I have not.
He's a very good dude. He's a sports fanatic, so you guys would have a lot to talk about.
He lives in Florida down with Rush, right?
Yeah, he lives down in Florida. But he's up in New York a fair amount. I didn't know if working for iHeart you'd ever cross paths with him, but he's a great guy. And he worked with me on radio. He made me Mr. Snerdley made me a better radio host. Sat down with me. We went over things from my early Rush fill-ins. So, yeah, I owe him a debt of gratitude. Sue, hey, Buck and producer Mark. Thanks for what you do so well. Please stay on the nursing home COVID-19 scandal. governors of New York and New Jersey are both trying to escape blame for their murderous March directives, forcing nursing homes to accept positive patients. Both websites have removed those directives, and Governor Cuomo insists he was following federal guidelines. He was not. Sue, you know I'm on it. I'm not going to let this go. And I don't care if other conservatives are going weak on Cuomo on this one or on Cuomo in general. I'm staying on it. Team, make sure you tell someone, pass the buck. You tell someone to listen to the Buck Sexton Show. Send them the link, text them the link. We told you the platforms. We'll be back tomorrow. Shields high.